Hello everyone and welcome to the 9th episode of the Heavensward Dungeon Lore series. In this series, I hope to explain the things you might not know about Final Fantasy XIV dungeons, as well as discuss their individual stories and lore. This episode's dungeon is St. Mocianne's Arboretum. Of the many facilities and research centres created by Sharlayan during their time in the Dravanian hinterlands, St. Mocianne's Arboretum houses the majority of plant-based research, seedkin creatures and other insects that were painstakingly researched by scholars long ago. Since the exodus of Sharlayan, however, the facility has become vastly overrun with fauna and flora alike, and now stands uninhabited with many of its products long forgotten. The Warrior of Light finally begins to assist in making progress both with Ishgard and its people, as well as searching for their still lost friends. We at first visit Vidofnir with Lucia in tow to treat for peace by having the dragon visit Ishgard, after which we meet with a Sharlayan scholar named Kryl, who assists us in looking for Thancred. With Master Matoya's assistance, we track his etheric trail to the Dravanian Forelands and set out to question his whereabouts. After determining that he traded with the Varth, the Beast Tribe informs the group that the man was seen heading for Loth Ast Nath, where the Nath had been sighted with their god, Ravana, in tow once again. Upon arrival, however, we find not Thancred, but a group of apparent adventurers that make quick work of the Primal. They turn and clash with the Warrior of Light, before being interrupted by Thancred, who descends from on high, clashing with the leader of the unknown group. After this, the same man introduces their group as the Warriors of Darkness, before being transported away. After regrouping with Thancred, we return to Vidofnir, who finally agrees to the invitation from Ishgard. We catch a glimpse of a scene in Ishgard, in which Emmerich receives a knife to the stomach from a wandering vagrant, and upon our own return, we find that many buildings have been set ablaze in the chaos. After some investigation, we find a man suspected of the arson, which Thancred manages to get information out of, being that the instigator is someone of status within Ishgard. Things ramp up as the militants make a move and overtake the vault, after which the Warrior of Light and their companions make the charge to rescue the hostages and capture the rebels. After reaching the peak of the vault priest gives a horrific smile as he drops a girl from the heights of the building. Luckily, Vidofnir arrives just in time to catch and save her before greeting Emmerich and delivering another message from Race Volga. Finally, Vidofnir returns home and our allies go about their business, with Y'shtola visiting Matoya once more, and Edmund and Artoirel returning to their manor. Afterwards, the Warrior of Light find themselves speaking with a treasure hunter sitting near a building in the Dravanian hinterlands. They appear worn out and paranoid, looking over their shoulder, and they note our battle-worn appearance. They request that we head over to Sawney, just outside St. Mocianne's Arboretum, and head off to recruit more hands for the job. Sawney is pleased to see more help arrive, and explains the state of the Arboretum, being very overgrown and dilapidated. He also explains that the reason they're trying to delve into the place is to retrieve a treasure, not something of monetary value, but something that could benefit Idleshire in the long term. He does mention, however, that many precious relics could also still lay within, and agrees to follow close behind once the coast is clear. As we enter the facility, our vision is full of the overgrown trees and plants left long ago by the Sharlayans, with the stone path only partially visible due to the moss and foliage covering it. As we proceed through the various exhibits, we find ourselves in different areas named for their field of study. The first large area here is known as Telmatology, the study of marshes and swamps and other wetlands, within which lie a few other studies as well. We head through Sylvology, where the ecosystem of woodlands would have once been studied, defeating some of the creatures that claim the trees as home. Many creatures here are those that would otherwise regularly inhabit their respective ecosystem, and presumably some may have even been here in a more controlled fashion, prior to the exodus of Sharlayan. We reach Limnology, the study of lakes and reservoirs, passing over a small body of water as we do so. Afterwards we reach Zymology, the study of fermentation and its uses, where a large Morble known as Rose Garden awaits. During the fight, the Morble uses its signature bad breath attack on the party, inflicting heavy damage and poison. Additionally, the Morble calls forth its spawn to have them use the attack in turn, steadily rotating to find its prey as the horrible odour applies the bile. When injured, the Rhodes Garden sheds some of its seed pods around the arena. While these seed pods seem innocuous, they can be dangerous if left unchecked, exploding after a period of time. After this, we move through to the next large facility known as aeromology, the study of deserts and their unique aspects. We can see a large exhibit of simulated sands just beneath the walkway, along with the flora and fauna of the ecosystem, with creatures such as ants wandering the path. Turning right, we find our path blocked by a large wall of honeycomb, and we find ourselves being attacked by several hornets, angry at the hive's disturbance. Eventually, after another honeycomb wall, we reach the centre of the hive, known as the Amber Room, where the Queen Hawk awaits. During this fight, the Queen unleashes pheromones to command the patrolling Nighthawks to attack party members. A sail focuses a party member with aggressive stingers from each of the hawks, after which the Queen lays down a puddle of apitoxin, poisoning any who enter it. When injured, the Queen uses a veil to bring her troops to her side, empowering and protecting her as she rapidly damages the party. After this, even more knights appear to defend her, and Rowley causes them to form ranks and fire their stingers simultaneously in a line. Once the Queen falls, we slide down another river of honey, descending all the way out of the bottom of the hive and arriving at the study. This area houses more aggressive creatures, but also the Beloco, who appears to be a patrolling guardian of the area. Many of the creatures here appear to be very run down, with many withered foes or otherwise creatures taken over by parasitic plants. After defeating a handful of treants and another Beloco, we reach the Last Supper, where yet another force of nature awaits. The belladonna opens its petals and descends from the branches, seeming to have its bloom take the form of a humanoid creature. It then screeches and attacks the party. During the fight, the belladonna unleashes spores and seeds to damage the party. The bulbs it summons are untouchable and must be avoided as they intermittently burst with damage. Fronde Fatale lures anyone near a bulb towards it, but this can be avoided by looking away from the belladonna. When injured, the belladonna sprouts forth 3 lilies of the valley. These creatures slowly build up a decay which bursts after a period of time, and must be defeated swiftly in order to avoid the effects. Upon defeat, the belladonna screeches again and falls, disappearing into the ether. Afterwards we speak with Sawney outside the Arboretum, who has successfully found their prize, and ask that we accompany them back to Idleshire to speak with Midnight Dew about what they found. We discover that the treasure Sawney wanted to retrieve was a collection of seeds to be used to grow fruit and other produce in the Idleshire fields. The special part about them is that they were painstakingly cultivated and crossbred by Sharlayan researchers, and were said to provide incredible results. Midnight Dew explains that because Idleshire's industry thrives off collecting and salvaging remnants left by the Sharlayans, the practice wouldn't last after a while. With the new seeds and plants, however, they can hopefully find something that grows in Idleshire well enough to help the settlement carry on. Sawney then runs off to begin planting, and Midnight Dew thanks us, promising a feast grown from their own hands in the future. And that's the end of the story and lore of St. Mocianne's Arboretum, an abandoned botanical facility housing some of the most interesting flora and fauna, thankfully holding a lasting solution for Idleshire and its carefully created seeds. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy XIV lore, and I'll see you next time for the hard mode version of Pharos Sirius.